getting in the way, bro. Camera 1, check. Camera 2, check. Paper, check. Computer, check. Genius, check. Hopefully there's sound. Check. Bitch. And I broke the lead. Great start. Great freaking start. Great start. But what do we do in situations like this? Do we panic? No. Don't freaking panic. Where did I put the pencils? Rose, where are the pencils? Where did I put them? Aha. Yes. Now I remember. Eraser. Oh. Hello, Gentian. And Laura. And of course, Rose starts this off with a nice icebreaker. Where are the boobies? Yes, where are the boobies? Am I really going to be in the way of this? Please tell me I'm not. Checking stream. This, no, we're good, we're good. Cool. Top part, where they can see is right there. Okay, bottom part, not an issue. Guys, how was y'all's weekend? Rose, look down. First word of the title. Pencil. You're making me take my shirt off now, Laura. Stupid trash can. I need to take this out. Make sure it's not in the stream. Did I just bring in the stream? Yep. I don't care though. Where did I put everything? Oh, there it is. All right. Sharpen the pencil. Be careful not to slice the finger off. There we go. Taking it down just a hair width at a time. Bang the knife against the trash can, just like Bob Ross, kind of. And then we sharpen with sandpaper, medium grade, Home Depot. Weekend was okay. Had kids' birthday parties to attend to, so you can imagine. How about yours? Mine was good. I had my sister's birthday party to attend to, and that was a lot of fun. Laura, I really liked your video, and the reason why I liked it is because we saw you in it, and there was more space, and so I could see more than just looking down. And it's good to see the up-close shots, but I really liked how you put that video together, and I liked the duplicate Laura. I thought that was really cool. Why was I late, Rose? I have such a busy life and a lot of people depend on me. I'm very important. I'm a high upstanding member of society, and if I'm not there for people, all hell breaks loose. All right? Very busy man. Pump for an artist. For an artist. Respect. That's right, Gentian. Good evening, folks. Carmine, ciao. Buona serata a te anche, amico mio. Good evening. Ciao, Carmine. Good. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I actually do have a couple different positions of Jessie. This is the woman who works in the front of the building. Hey, Lisa. So Jessie works in the front of the building. And I have, like I said, I have different images. And I'm going to perhaps add one or two more, and y'all get to choose, if you'd like, which image that I draw. Now, our dear, dear friend Queldar27 wanted me to draw a particular pose. It was in this certain pose because he wasn't sure how to draw the far eye and the mouth in this particular position. It was of a female, the female species. And he, but I don't see him in here yet. So I might wait to do that one. Let me find another one that might be in a little bit better of a position. See this one, open. All right, so I know that just filled the screen up, done, but that's okay. That's okay. So the one that you see right now is the one that Queldar wants drawn. But this one I think might be a good one to start with if he's not here. But I'm just doing quick pencil sketches with this, so I can always go back and forth between them, if that makes sense. Watch out. There we go. Wait a second, Rose, I thought you were on the road. Are you still in Front Royale? Probably good to know. Yeah, but that was a good video, Laura. I really liked it. That was a very good one. And also the one where you put that the planner together with the calendar and such. That was amazing. But I would like to see, I think, you in it more, you working, maybe a side shot of your work area or such. Till Thursday. All right, good. I always think you should spend time there, Rose. Rose is my studio mate, and she helps me to survive in here. She's actually, a lot of the ideas in the videos, for example, of me acting incredibly retarded, come from her, because naturally I'm more put together and more intellectual and very intimidating to be around because people are in awe of my intellect. But Rose says, no, you need to act a certain way. She actually, in all seriousness, does come up with some very, very good ideas for the videos. Are these old pictures or new? They're new. I took them Saturday. Lemo. Ciao, Lemo. All right, let me bring up the picture. So here we are. When Queldar comes, I'm going to switch. I'll show you what I'm going to do. We're going to start with this picture that I have right here. But when Queldar comes, I'm going to switch it to, I'll switch it to this one. Okay, let me move this over just a little bit so that's there. Okay, I think we're good. And then the pencil, okay, this is where, okay, let me do this. This actually, okay. Then the edge of the paper. All right, cool, that's the edge. Dimensions. Cool. So this is the one that we're going to start with. And then, okay, so I'm drawing this one. Set up. I think I said I'll draw it at 3. About right there. Does that seem okay? Yeah. Why not? Cool. Yeah, they're really cool. And so she's visiting her family right now. She just had a wedding to attend, and which means I can. Which means if I did a video right now, she would not be able to filter it, and it would be probably kick me off YouTube or something. I'm guessing. It's best case scenario. Line this up. That is really in my way. Okay. You get a shorter pencil maybe. Screw it. Just use this. The poppy seed oil in painting. I use it for oiling out, and I can get you the exact mixture. You can still use it. It's very clear. I don't think it binds as well. Linolenic acid's in linseed oil, and it helps, like, I think it helps bind the paint. I need to look that up because I actually have it. I could look that up, but I need to draw right now because I actually have a very good source where I go off of all this stuff. Let me draw this a little bit smaller, in fact. Just a little bit smaller. So poppy oil, it does not dry as quickly. Okay, so in linseed oil, you have what's called linolenic acid, right? Linseed oil, linolenic. And it yellows the paint some. It yellows the oil just a little bit more. Now, all oil does yellow, but this yellows a little bit more, makes it yellow, and it also makes it dry quicker, okay? So poppy oil is very clear, it's more liquid, it's very good for transparencies, I think, but it just takes forever to dry, so it's a good medium to use to make the paint malleable, but you don't want to put more than, I mean, they say 20% or something, correct me if I'm wrong, 20-25% medium to paint. I don't know if I really think about that when I do it. I just try not to put too much medium in. Okay, so what did I do? One, best fit. Okay. All right, guys. Let's just do some small sketches here. Gosh, that's really in my way. So, as in everything, what I do in my drawing, I'm compressing in paint. So, when I construct a face, I'll oftentimes compress a lot of these stages. With you guys, I'm actually drawing the stages out. And what does that mean? It means I'm going through and marking the top, the bottom, the left and the right, and I'm marking the basic points in which I do, but then I keep the lines very straight in a lot of areas, whereas in paint, I'll squint down, block the shapes in where I see them, but my brain is trained to see them in particular places, partially due to my genius, but also it has to do with the benefits of years of study in this manner, right? All right, so I'm establishing these points, and I don't just draw them down. You don't just want to draw them down. You want to check them. And I do what's called the pencil tap. As you can see, it's self-explanatory that where you just tap the pencil on these places and just keep on kind of measuring out the width and the height and making sure those points relate to each other. It's a little tricky here because for some reason I have a little cord that's sticking out right here where my hand sometimes needs to go, but I think I can work around that. This might screw things up some. Do this, push this back. Okay, there we go, I can kind of rest here. But I use a poppy oil for oiling out. I think it's like, now Gentine, I'll have to check, but I think it's 1 part poppy oil, 1 part turpentine, or mineral spirits, either one. 1 part olive oil, I think, but I might be wrong. I have to double check that. I feel like it might have been 2 parts, 1 part of something, but definitely I use it for oiling out. All right, I'm gonna go and get the brow line in. I'm gonna get the forehead in. And so I see this pyramidal shape. Now, in real life, this is a shape that could be moving based off their hair, because her hair, for example, the bangs could change. So that's why it's important if you can learn to draw quickly. As you can see, we're almost already done with this painting, so I draw fast. But if you can learn to draw quickly, you can get these shapes in fairly easily. Or you can get them in without the hair changing, right? So you want to capture it before the model itself, the model changes. That's essentially what we're looking for. So it's taking me a second to warm up here. See, I just put this actually I really screwed this up. Sometimes that happens. All right, let's go back to the basics. I'll tell you what happened. I put the hairline way too far up there. Let me start here. Back down here, here. So I kept on moving the chin up. I was like, that can't be right, because the whole shape was off. But I do think it's about there. All right, it's worth taking your time at this stage. It really is. All right, so I put the brow line up here, which was a mistake. It's more of, if you look and divide the face, it's more of, it's in the center, but a little bit above the center. So it's somewhere around there. And then we're gonna look at this height to this height, okay? And it comes down to about right here. That's where the top of the hair is. And then we have the pyramidal, or the triangle shape right there, coming down, right? And there's a slight angle to the forehead, to the face. My job is to make sure Lewis doesn't get banned from YouTube. This is actually very true. I do have to sometimes filter things. What's oiling out? That's a great question, Jintian. Or you want to be called, no. I was thinking of somebody else. Oiling out, essentially, you know when you paint and the canvas looks, the canvas looks matte, it looks dry, the oil just, it doesn't have that fresh look, and the darks are very, they're not dark anymore, they look gray instead of black, and they don't have that richness to them. Well, the oil kind of takes on this matte sheen. Like, imagine a chalkboard, Jintian, a chalkboard where it's, you know, a green chalkboard and the chalk gets on it and it kind of, it's still green, but then when the teacher puts water on it, it becomes very deep and rich green. Well, that's how it looks when you're painting. But when the chalkboard dries, it looks more white, I guess. It's still green, but it looks more white. And it's hard to paint on that, so oiling out essentially is putting a thin layer of oil over a painting that is a little bit dry, like that. If that makes sense. And the reason you do that is so that you can see what you're working on. You can see and you can make proper transitions in your work. For example, in the eye sockets, say in Jesse's eye sockets here, they're pretty dark. But what if they didn't look that dark, right? And then you try to go and match these values here, these lights. You'd have trouble getting how light this is because you can't tell how dark this is or how dark that is. And so in that case, you want to oil out. That's what oiling out is. But I don't recommend you do that a lot because it's not a good thing to keep on saturating your painting with oil, if that makes sense. I gotta get my brain in this. My brain's not quite awake yet. Yuri, hey buddy. The chat's been up there, I didn't see it until now, so there's not that much of a delay, just FYI. Was the shirt off at any point? Well, you know, I didn't flex, so it didn't like explode off my chest this time, so no. I did a pretty good job of controlling myself. Got to stick around then. Hi everyone. Queldar 27. No, this gathering is so decent and proper. Great bod. Lewis should model. I know, actually, that's going to be my next video. I did do a pose of myself in these skimpy workout shorts. We'll find. Okay, so now that we finished this drawing, Queldar is here. Hey Queldar, how are you doing? Are you feeling well this morning? My Epic cam got disconnected. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. I can't even take this off, it's so close to the board. Dang it. Screw it. I'm just gonna erase this and we're gonna start on the other drawing. Queldar, I actually thought ahead for you and I replicated that one picture that you liked to show you how I, an expert at all things really in life, would paint, rather in this case draw, because that's what we're doing, this particular pose. Now, there are two of them here. Hide. Okay, so there's this one, okay? There's this pose, as we can see. There's that pose. All right? I think I took another one too. There's this one as well, okay? There's this one as well. So between the two, which one do y'all like? We'll say this is pose number, wait, because I have them listed here. This is pose number 1. Pose number 1. Do you want this one? Do you want pose number 1? Or do you want pose number 2 with a slight smile? Now let me show you something here. The smile, I like this expression on it. It's a little bit more natural. But this one, as you can tell, there you can see a little bit more of her right eye, which is the far eye. And Queldar had asked me how you draw that eye. So this position is better probably for what Queldar is asking. But I will, and so that's pose number 1. Pose number 2. Pose number 2 does not have that, though. It still has kind of an eye socket, but it does not have the eyelid. So guys, which one do y'all want to see me draw? I'll give you a second. Just say 1 or 2. Let's see which one are we at? This one is 1. This one's 2. One. All right, Queldar, we're doing this for you, so we're going to do number 1. We're doing it for everybody. Gentian 2. Interesting. All right. Okay. 1 is more interesting. Gentian, I don't know what to say, man. I'm kind of with you with the expression. I like the expression. It has a little bit more life to it, but they want number 1. We'll do number 1 for now. Gentian, we can always do number 2 later, but I also have different poses that I can set up and show you guys. Okay, that's it right there. Boom. Where'd it go? Oh. Large once, lower. Okay, so I'm actually going to draw this. Let's see how far over does it go. All right, guys, we'll get this going. I know it's kind of, we're lagging behind a little bit, but that's, you know what? We'll get there. That's as far over as I can go. All right, I'm going to bring it over here so I can actually move because, okay, and then this was, what was this? Was that just some random mark I did? Wait. Oh, Gentian, were you confused which one I was saying, which one was 1 and which one was 2? Is that what happened? It's okay if you like the other one. Stick to your guns, man. There's nothing wrong. You know, that's the thing. There's people have preferences. It's good to have variety, right? I think there's this misconception, and it is a misconception, that all, it's, you know, like in academic work, all the work looks the same. It actually doesn't. It looks very different, all of it, even though the level of accuracy is incredibly high. Right, in the top of the hairline, right there. And I'm going to get this pyramidal look. I'm going to get the forehead, right? Get the forehead, and I'm doing the pencil tap. I don't always need to draw lines in. You don't always need to draw lines in, okay? And go slow, guys. Go slow. You don't need to go fast. If you go slow, you're gonna make less mistakes, and then you'll actually go fast. Oddly enough. Right? Right, Lewis. You're so smart, I know. I know I am. I know. Doing this pencil tap, these are points that are all relating to each other, and you can always shift them. But remember, if you shift one, you kind of have to remember, you have to be aware that it'll change the relationship of the other points. You might have to move the other points as well. So, as you can tell, I'm not just drawing in how I think it looks. Every point I draw in, I'm measuring off of. So, if I have a straight line going up and down, at this point, where does the cheek fall through? Well, it's off that way just a little bit. So that's how you determine, right? The cheek is going to be, and you have to be very honest with yourself. Where is it? And how far down is it? So if this point's here, it's going to be probably around right here, and the nose, the top of the nose kind of like meets it right there. And then you're going to have this, it's coming up at such an angle. And really, you can look at the negative shape here. This is a big strategy that I use too. I look at this as the negative shape, this negative, like instead of drawing this, draw this shape out here. And switch, you know, you got to switch it back and forth, right? You got to switch your brain back and forth. You got to keep on going back and forth with it. Okay? Okay? And we're just going to make small corrections. That nose is too far out. That's okay. Like the nose comes out. If I plumb line down, the nose is still out that way from this point, but it's just slightly in. So it's in somewhere around there. We don't need to get so accurate right now, but so if this pointt's there, then we drop down at such an angle. It's not straight up and down, but it's ever so slightly. Lewis, I'm practicing drawing an orc for my Friday live. Yes! Thank you. Did you live stream on Friday? Because I don't think I caught it. It didn't appear, and it's so hard because it's dark against dark. You mean this area right here, like that part's dark? Oh, by the way, guys, I have the reference photos in the same link, but I have a lot of photos of her. So it's not just one photo. There's like 5, I think, of varying positions, and I'll put more in later. So my idea too, besides these streams and also with all my videos, I'm working on just getting a database of and I'll organize it like these are portraits and these are figures. I'm going to do that with me too, with the poses I put myself in. There'll be reference photos that y'all can draw and paint with, and they're professionally photographed by me in the optimal lighting setup that you want. So it's not stupid iPhone pictures that I'm like, yeah, you can draw this. They're really freaking good pictures. They're really good pictures. Yeah, the far eye. I know. I'll show you how to do that. I did stream on Friday. It was a fail. I took it. You took it down. See, I was looking for it because why was it a fail? What happened? All right. So I won't always talk my way through this, but you can see my mindset by how I'm. These are the points. Like I'll judge this point off this point and get this angle, right? Because this angle is a very important angle. So this distance has to match, this distance has to match, this distance has to match. They all have to line up, right? And now we're going to keep this precise. It's going to be soft, but that doesn't mean that we have to do a line like that. What does that describe? Nothing. It has to be soft and precise. That's a woman's face, soft and precise. Soft and precise. I don't need to do this detail yet. Don't need to do this detail yet. So this is where the curl is right here. And right here, like in the middle of the curl, I'm not doing the curl like how it comes up like that. I'm just kind of cutting through, just keeping it soft so it's not distracting. Soft line, and then this part comes up to about here. And so what I want to look at is this shape here. And the forehead needs some work, right? My forehead's a little bit small. When is the figure drawing and painting going to come out? Gentian, I have a still life that I'm working on that is how I'm making my money right now. It's the life of the painter, commissions. And every once in a while, there will be a painting that backs me up, and this is one of those. And so I'm hoping it'll come out within the next 2 weeks maybe, or it might be 3 weeks. It might be a while, but this isn't normal where I haven't had a video out in a while. But Rose, and rightfully so, Rose, my studio mate here, she might still be in the stream, I'm not sure. Rose said, stop doing the video work. You need to get that still life done. So I'm gonna hope within the month, but ideally it should have been out 2 weeks ago. Let's just put it that way. Okay, cool. Because I don't want to promise to you guys like, yeah, I'm gonna do this and then it doesn't happen. But I will be having videos out. I am gonna pick the production up, but it's a balancing act right now and it's a little bit difficult. Okay. Let's fix this. This forehead needs to come up a little bit. Now, if the forehead comes up, this might be too long, right? Might be too long. In fact, I think I know what needs to happen. Instead of bringing the forehead up, I'm going to actually bring this brow line down a little bit because, or no, actually look at this. This is what happened. I'm going to take this nose out. If this is the brow line right here, that's the very top where it connects. We have the nose starts falling down just a little bit, so it falls down some. And now I'm keeping an eye on this width right here, from here to here. And then it kind of comes out. And look how far out I put that. That's way too far out, right? That was a huge mistake because I marked this and then I didn't really follow it. So sometimes, guys, that happens where you need to do these subtle corrections. And that's why it's important to keep solid technique and keep things light and always go back in with eraser after you've drawn to keep it simple so that you can correct it very easily. You can see your mistakes much easier. And if you're having trouble with this, don't worry. Sometimes they're just weird faces. There are not a weird face. There's weird angles and weird shapes that you aren't used to making, and you just have to really just take your time with it. Just subtle changes. Tried something new live. That's probably never a good idea. Well, what did you try live, Laura? Now I feel bad I wasn't there to support you. I know, me too. That's okay, Eddie. I wouldn't want you to see me like that. Practice and wait, I want to know what you did. What did you do? Like, now you have me intrigued. I was wondering, does the FAA have scholarships? I don't know, but if you wanted to go there, I would write a recommendation. I would call Susan. I can talk to her for you. I can't promise anything, but it can't hurt. I am just, okay. You guys talk for a second. I need to figure this out, because I am a little bit off with this, but that's okay. It's all good. Been here before. Making subtle adjustments, they do make a difference. They really make a difference. Just making some subtle adjustments here. Don't think, oh, how does the eyebrow look? Just say, what angle is the eyebrow going at, and what angle is the light shape going at? When I draw something, I draw the eye socket here, and then I'll draw the surrounding areas as shapes, and they both have to fit. They both have to work. And I'm thinking straight lines. I really am. I'm thinking angles. If you think curves, that's basically you giving up on trying to figure out what angle it's going at. And when you do that, it shows that you don't know what angle it is because everything's off. You tried a sumi, the Chinese brush painting. It's a form of minimalistic painting, new materials that didn't behave the way I was expecting. Oh, yeah, that must be tricky. That must be tricky. It couldn't have been that bad, Laura. See, Laura, I want to see more of you when you work. I want to see your workspace, right? And that was, all, and, you know, of Rivera, I just wanted to punch Diego in the face, like the latter half of that video. But I really loved the pageantry that you did and dressing yourself up. And you're a very pleasant person. You're a very pretty woman. And so you should put yourself out there and, you know, and dress up. And I liked the unibrow too. Because when I saw it said self-portrait, I was thinking to myself, I mean, you know, because I've seen your pictures and you don't have a unibrow, so I was wondering about that. And I said, there's something behind that. And the Frida Kahlo video was really cool. Yeah, right? Okay. All right, so we don't want to draw all this detail in, right? We don't want to do that. We're going to squint down. I'm going to squint down. I need to loosen up. See, I haven't drawn. It's, what the hell? All right, just shut your eyes for a second. Let me fix something here. So, Laura, here's the thing. Don't feel bad because I've been working with pencil and it's coming out bad. So I wouldn't worry about some ancient Chinese brush that you could not master in 5 seconds on live stream. Do not worry about that, okay? I wouldn't worry about it. All right. Sometimes we just gotta loosen up a little bit. Just give me a second. I just need to focus. mark the ear to the mouth. Straight across, it kind of comes up at an angle. It's kind of right there. Just mark that. The top of the ear goes underneath the eye, through this point of the nose. It's somewhere there. Let's see, this point's here. That point is there. That is making some sense. If this is here, this is here, something like that. And then we have this part here, which is in the ballpark. That's the back of the head. Let's see, from this point right here to here is, actually, is it? Diego Rivera was a jerk, but man, his art was a major influence. You see it everywhere in Mexico. I don't like his work. I think it's horrible. Looks like a kid drew it. I'll be honest with you. I'll be frank. I just feel like people like that waste themselves if they're going to go into it. Maybe it's what he enjoyed doing, and I have to admit I haven't really studied it that much because I don't have the interest for it. But maybe I'm saying that because I still want to punch him in his face. So I'm relating these points. You see how I'm going around the whole drawing and trying to relate the points together, because it doesn't matter if you draw this right. If you draw it not in relation to this, well, you're out of luck, right? You gotta, that's why I always do the pencil tap, right? I do this 1, 2, 1, 2, tapping, tap, 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 putt, 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 back and forth. And keep going with it. Queldar, a lot of this information in here is lost, but when you open your eyes, you can still see the shape. And perhaps it would have been better if I put a white cloth behind it, but nonetheless, you can still draw from this photo quite easily. All right, the key is to take your time with the basic block and shape and not worry if it looks like her or not. You just don't worry. You can't get panicked if it's not there yet. What I'm looking at are the light shapes. I'm drawing the light shapes when I'm drawing the shadow shapes. You know, people say shading, right? They shade. We shade, we shade. And so that makes you think, oh, we're just focusing on the shapes, the shadow shapes. But when you're focusing on the shadow shapes, a good painter or draftsman will also be looking at the light shapes to put the dark shapes in, okay? All right, so this angle, I'm going to try to simplify it some, but this angle is kind of coming down, like almost straight down, but it's kind of like this angle from the base of the nose down to her right side of her lip is soft. It's not so soft, but it's like, it is soft. And it's not going straight up and down, it's going at an angle, and I can simplify that. I don't need to really detail that a lot, but also looking at this and acknowledging this is a shadow shape in the underneath the nose. This mouth obviously is a giant shadow shape. I acknowledge this, and they're kind of connected right here. But you can also use this light shape to draw this shape, okay? So before I put that shape in, it's important for me to judge this angle, and I can do that by looking at this light shape, right? There's this triangle right here that kind of goes into the base of the nose. Is that correct? Is that correct? Great for propaganda. Lisa, I kind of feel like you and I think very, very similar sometimes. It's good because the reference I sent you was also dark against dark. No, it wasn't. I don't think it was, man. I think it was a light background and it was outside. It's just that she had her eye, it was like a dark shadow under her eye, kind of, but the background, I'm 99% sure that it was bright. And look it up, Queldar. When you were in the academy, how did you make it with rent and student life? I was very fortunate because my dad paid for me to be there, but it was cheaper than going to a college. But I did try to not spend a lot of money at the same time. It was way cheaper than going to a university here, but I did not have to work. And so in that regard, I was incredibly fortunate. You can get scholarships, and in fact, all right, I don't know how it works now, because keep in mind, I haven't been there for about 15 years. But you, like, when you start teaching, they knock some of the payment off, okay? If you want to model, they'll also knock some of the tuition off as well. So there are things that you can do, and you can ask them, but dark of the eye merged with her hair, like this part. Oh, this part, yeah. Was that like that? I don't remember now in the picture. I'm slowly coming to realize that I'm not that observant outside. I don't know what that means. Okay, back to focusing. Okay, so again, looking at this little shape here, I'm going too slow for the stream, I feel. And then how long is this? Well, if I compare this to this line, this bottom line's a little bit longer. Okay. And then I'm gonna look at this whole piece as a shape. This whole piece is a shape here. It's like the whole thing. Let me sharpen my pencil. Hard to distinguish eyelid from socket from hair because they were all dark, right? And so this is something that's interesting, Queldar. After you've done a lot, and I mean a lot of portraits, your knowledge of anatomy will start filling in those gaps. So you'll start understanding it even if it's in the dark, because you'll know what to look for. College has turned into a hustle. Yeah, I agree with that. College is shot. Most, speaking broadly, I agree with that. My thing is get the information you need, and there's a lot of crafts and things you can go into, and being a doctor, lawyer, you need to go to those colleges, but for art, find a good atelier and go there. I wouldn't waste your time spending all that money at a university these days. It depends on the university, but for the most part, you know, if my kid wanted to go, I'd say, what do you want to do? What school's the best for it? Oh, if it's fine art, don't go to a college, unless that college actually has evidence that they brought in great or horrible students and turned them into great, you know, draftsmen, right? Because a lot of people, there are people, what happens is oftentimes in any school, the school will advertise the school based off the students' their best students' work. Most of them, which means if they, but oftentimes that means in art, there's just somebody who was just very talented to begin with who came in. So it's not any merit of the schools that they were good. It's just they were good. They were already good at drawing. Oftentimes this happens, or they were a good student. They just picked up fast, but it wasn't really that much due to the material as it was the skill of the student. Right? And that oftentimes happens as well. All right, so what I'm going to do, Queldar, is, well, first off, we got to make sure, because this looks a little bit crunched here. This isn't looking right. So I need to make sure that this light shape, like I think the nose, this part comes up just a little bit. I'm trying to get the light shapes correct. And it doesn't look like I'm doing that much, but these small little like erasing just a little bit really does make a huge difference, okay? It does make a huge difference. Squint, squint, squint. I mean, I'd always recommend, and here's the other thing, like if you go to college, they make you do all the basic sciences. For an artist, that's kind of pointless. You don't need that. You don't need to do math, and they're great subjects to know, but you don't need it for your work. So at the Florence Academy, they just had us doing drawing and painting 24/7. That was it, right? And it makes sense because that's what I do. It's a specialty school. So it's not just that, oh, well, oftentimes they can't. In many cases they can't because they aren't good themselves. And it's just a fact. But it's also just the way it's set up. And sometimes the teachers are great, but they're working within the confines of the rules of the school, right? And that's something to keep in mind too. But the academies that teach academic work, those, most of them, they make their own rules. They say, yeah, no, this is our curriculum, and they're more loose about it. And you know what? You don't need to freaking control something like a dictator to get something done. Oftentimes that does the exact opposite effect, right? And so the Florence Academy, in that regard, obviously they had their rules, but they gave the teachers the flexibility to teach. And they got to the point. They were like, all right, we're going to teach you guys how to draw and paint. That's what we're going to do. And that's what they did. That is what they did. So guys, even if I'm slightly off in an area, it's okay. When you're starting, look at this as practice. It's good to keep it in this basic form. I'm not discouraged thinking, oh, I should be shading by now. Don't worry about that. That's BS. You actually, I guarantee you, if somebody starts shading right now on this, but I stayed with this and kept on correcting the proportions, I would still finish quicker than they did. And it would be so much better. Are there these kinds of academies all over? My daughter might want to pursue art. They're starting to pop up, yeah, because people like myself who went to them are starting them. They have them in New York. I can look into it for you. They have them in New York, Chicago. I think my friend Matt Almy started one in Chicago. I don't know what it's called, but I think Jacob Collins had one in like New York. Dana Levin, I think she started something. She was one of my friends over there. She was a teacher. Very, very, you know what? She and I didn't get along at first, but then she started she was actually a very nice person. She and I actually, I think, hit it off. Like after I was there for about 2 years, I just remember her being just the most pleasant person. And she's also a very good painter. I'll look into that for you guys. And start looking up some names. Watts Atelier in California is well known. One of my friends, John Peck, teaches over in California. And he and I trained together, and he was very good. Queldar, so it's just important in you take advantage of the fact that these reference photos, because they're not going to move, okay? And just like I'm keeping it simple, keep it simple. And what's this doing? When you keep it simple, you basically are giving yourself a battle arena to train your brain in. So I'm getting practice right now because I'm forcing myself to not just be like, okay, I think the nostril's here, and then it shadows here, and then, and then we just have this little thing, and it's fun drawing. I like expressing myself. I'm not doing that. We're going through and measuring point off point off point, off angles, off large shapes, off the shadow shapes, off life shapes. I'm getting practice from this. This is going to benefit my still life work when I go in and paint that stupid same piece of cloth, which, by the way, I showed y'all on Thursday that what I was painting. And that one area I was saying, oh, this area is just, you know what? If you're painting yourself in circles, or if you're drawing yourself in circles, go to something else within the work. That's what I'm going to do today. That's actually what I've been painting this morning. That's already what I've determined to do. All right, so look, this has to make sense. This has to make sense, this width. This to this point, her ear has to make sense. But then the neck starts here, and then I'm going to draw this shape too as well, right? I'm looking at this dark shape, but I have to draw this light shape as well. But then this has to make sense, right? So you see me doing this? That's me judging the angles and the width of the neck. I'm trying to see it as a whole. Like imagine, see in paint, that's what we're going towards. And in sculpture, this benefits you as well, right? Because you see proportions and you understand volume and such, and you just start putting your clay where you want. In paint, you paint the shape. The shape has to be the right angle, the right width, the right length, value, the color, and then it has the turns and all that stuff. But when you squint down, it's just one shape. That's what we're doing here, but we're doing it in pencil. So this is how drawing benefits your painting or your sculpture or what have you, anything. It's a method of training your eye. All right, so I'm going to really open my eyes for this just because this whole area is dark here. And essentially, I'm going to draw this negative shape here because she's wearing a black shirt. And so I see this negative shape as like this wide about there. And you know what, if I'm slightly off, that's okay. And so from the chin down to here, how far out is her shoulder? Okay, it's somewhere around here, somewhere, right? We can change it because we're drawing very simple and we're drawing very basic with clean technique. All right, so what's this angle at? It's going down to probably about there. I know you have the trapezius, which is this muscle right here that kind of comes down and the shoulder pops out. Don't worry about that. Just do a straight line from point to point down and then just get the angle here. Now, the reason, like I said before, I put the shoulders in, and look at this, you can just go straight across and force yourself to see these. You're not gonna be accurate at first, but force yourself to see that entire shape. And this is going off the paper because I know it, or off the camera because I know it stops there. But anyway, force yourself to see it because you'll start opening your brain up to see the entire shape of this stuff, and that's so important. All right. This one's going to be higher. So if this point's here, this point kind of comes up some, and then it's kind of going down that angle, and then it goes off the paper there that y'all can't see it. You got 2 years left until you go to Florence. Good, Gentian. You can actually make a lot of progress there. That's really good. When you go, like I said, be open to the teachers, right? Be open to the teachers. The teachers like it when you listen. They don't like people who don't listen or who argue because their job is hard. And oftentimes it might be a new teacher and they're learning themselves, but if they were promoted to a teaching position, they deserved it. I can tell you that about those schools. They don't mess around. And they're nice. They're nice people. Yeah, Gentian's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see where he goes with this stuff. You know, there's amazing people out there. And one of my goals is to make this accessible to everybody, and I would love to see people doing way better work than myself. And that's the truth, because I want to see good artwork out there. All right. I want to see some good artwork. Gentian's, you said you're 15. He's 15, which is insane. Yeah, same here, Queldar. I mean, when I was younger, it would have helped, but... Just trying to see these shapes, how they connect. All right, so we get the overall shape, and then we can start breaking them down to slightly smaller shapes. Right. So what do? We do body type. gesture and proportion. Those are the three things that we're keeping in mind when we do the human figure. When I'm in the academy, I'm going to send my works. Good. I want to see them. I really want to see them. You know, Queldar, you're 38, but I want you to think about something, man. You might be thinking, yeah, you wish you got into it when you were younger, and that's perfectly fine. But, you know, if you put yourself to study, 5-10 years from now, you could be doing this. You really could, if you put yourself to study, 5-10 years. And then, so when you're 48, you can do this up until the day you die. So 85, 90 potentially, right? I mean, that's 40 plus years at least after your training. Like you could be 50 times better than me. Like it depends on your potential. You could be one of the great artists out there. Like if you put your time into it, that's one of the beauties of this. It's not like, I say to myself, I wish I was better at the thing is I was good at playing defense in basketball, but I was just horrible. But basketball is one of the games that I wish I was good at and played professionally. Don't ask me why, I just wish that I was. Well, I can't. I can't now, right? I probably never could because that wasn't my gift, and that's okay. But my point is, art you don't need to be young for. Okay. So getting back to it, you have a mortgage right now. I know, man. I know. But you can figure that stuff out, right? If you're meant to do it, you'll find a way to do it. I know that's tough. Hey, let me tell you something. It's hard. It's very hard. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this, the YouTube. I'm trying to get myself out there for you guys, to teach, to break myself out, to better myself, with more knowledge. Y'all talk to me. I learn a lot of stuff from you guys. It's also a great business move. There are things that you can do to make it work, but in your own time. But I'm just saying, if that's something you want to do, right, you'll find a way. You will find a way to do it, and I have no doubt that you can. All right, I'm looking at the heights here. I'm trying to make sure I don't want this nose to be crunched. Don't give Queldar up. Don't give up, Queldar. It's not too late if you want to get good studying the masters. It really helps. Damn right. And Gentian, for you, and I think I spoke about this before, one of the great things about this type of drawing and painting, and especially when you're at an academy, is that you come up against people who are better than you, and sometimes that will make you think that you suck. And sometimes you do suck, all right? But you can get past that. You can get past it, and it will teach you how to get past things that you don't think you can get past. In other words, it's very hard. It's going to take a lot of hard work, but it's going to teach you if you stick with it. And if you can get past the points of despair, which you'll inevitably come across as a painter at any point. Every painter will go through this. They'll feel insufficient. They'll feel like they're horrible, they can't do it, or what have you, or they're not supposed to paint. If you can get past those points, it teaches you how to get past anything in life. And that sounds like crap right now because, if you're living at home, you don't know. But in life, you need that mentality. And there are many people who do not have it. You think they do. You think that you get out and then you get, people don't. So my point is, stick with it, man. Keep going and don't get discouraged if you're not as good as you think you should be. Screw that. Screw that. All right, squinting down. Just getting these basic light shapes. Is this width? Is this width good? This is a little bit big. Okay. All right, so does this need to come down or does this need to go up? I think this goes up, maybe. And if this goes up, this might go up, which is okay because we kept it simple and we kept it clear. Okay? Okay? Let's try that. Let's try this. Now, if I'm wrong and then this needs to go up or what have you, we can worry about that later, but I'm pretty sure it was this. All right, so I'm doing a couple of things. I'm checking the height of this, right? This whole shape. From the shadow shape, this is the shadow shape of the body, like, so you have the light shape on the chin, and then the shadow shape under the mouth. This is the bottom of the shadow shape under the mouth. And then I'm shooting it up to the very top of the mouth. But I'm also drawing in the angle of those, okay? It kind of goes like this, and that's very important. And so to draw the mouth, I'm gonna look at the mouth and think, okay, the mouth goes at this angle, but I'm also gonna draw this light shape here to get it. And so, Queldar, this was one of your questions, how do you get the mouth? So I'm just totally focused on the angle, and this angle right here, like there's a subtle angle that kind of comes up. It's like, it's going kind of like this, just ever so slight, like really subtle. Like you have to open your eyes kind of to see this one. It kind of comes up there. And then it's gonna drop about, it's gonna go through probably about here and drop through here. Now, if this is incorrect, we can fix it, but I'm gonna keep it very light. And then from here, okay, so if this part, okay, let's see, this is correct, if that's correct, and then the eye would be here, and if I drop a plumb line down, it kind of goes through this point. So this is as long as the mouth would be. It's like somewhere in there. Okay, so y'all see how I'm measuring this mouth. I'm not just drawing the mouth thing, oh, it's a heart-shaped mouth, let's draw a heart. I'm not saying that. You can look at that and think that, and it might influence. It's good to look. It's good to understand like the type of mouth it is, but you also have to construct this stuff down in a practical manner. Okay. And so then what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of come in. This is how wide the actual mouth is. It's kind of coming in at this angle, and then you obviously have this little point here. And how? Okay, so this shadow shape comes out how far? Like if this is the edge, then it's probably about this wide, which makes sense because this is about that long. So I'm looking at the light shape here. I'm looking at this light shape. Okay, so this is how and this is a soft but precise shadow, right? That's a soft one. It's not a sharp shadow. You can see I have some sharps, like this is sharper here. This shouldn't be sharp, but I made it sharp. This should be sharper up here, right? But my point is that you can have sharps that stand out more, softs that stand out less, but they still have to be accurate and at the correct angle, okay? Thanks, Shinty, and I'm working on it, to be honest, but I just can't leave my job right now. Yeah. And a mature person brings all the life experience and character development that brings substance to your work. It's true, yeah. This is, well, they're very wise, I have to say. All right, so then at this point, it's good to almost hit my camera, to sit back and just look in general at it. Just say, okay, does it look off? And it's perfect, just kidding. There's some subtle changes that I will make to it. Like the mouth is a little bit too small, and that's okay. Like essentially what I see is that this part goes, like this line goes out just a little bit, like really, really, really tiny bit. And it does make a difference. And then this kind of, like I'm looking at this whole light shape here. Let me actually fix this. Let me fix this 1 second. Whoops, that was lazy. Put this in. We have this part and it's kind of softly going this way and then it kind of cuts here. Right? 1, 2. All right. Yeah, it's really important to know this, Laura. It's really important to know and develop your style too and know what you want to express. Sometimes it's all about technique, which is so difficult to master, but other times it's about expressing something deeper, and don't let the fact that you haven't mastered technique stop you from doing that. Technique comes with experience. And sometimes you need to go easy on yourself when trying sumi brushes for the first time. Okay, Jintian, you have to go. It was fun talking with you, man. You take care. And thanks for stopping by. It's really good having you. All right. So I brought that out just a little bit. I'm going to cut it up. There we go. And bring this down some. So these are just minor adjustments, guys. Very minor adjustments here. Okay. But I'm keeping it basic. I'm not detailing. Right? But it looks like I kind of am. Right? That's coming along. Okay. Now from this point to here, there's an angle that's about right there. And then the nostril, or this part kind of comes up at this angle like that, and then it falls. Let's see, if I have this here, actually this needs to come over some. This light shape needs to come over some, something like that. Okay, oh, my back. I'm fine. All right, I'm gonna erase that because I messed that up. I really feel like the nose is a little bit short. Let's work on this area up top. It comes up, it's very subtle, but I do believe, all right, if this, guys, I've kept it very precise but light here, okay? And I'll work this area. I don't really need to yet. I'm just, all right, this part. All right, okay. I see what's happening. So I had a straight line here going down, but her nose, kind of right at the bridge of the nose, like it's, okay, so if this is like the top of her nose going down to the tip of her nose, she has a slight bridge. This is not, it's not like exaggerated or anything. Like, it's not like a witch's nose or anything like that. Nothing bad, but it's the slight, it does make a slight difference in the height of the nose and getting that light shape. It's just that, it's putting in the form of the bridge of the nose, and it's a very, very nice bridge, I think, right there. Just a little bit. So we take that out and it will, and then the bottom of the nose kind of comes down. There's a difference right there. So one of the things is that when you just use straight lines, you chop that off. Sometimes it makes it look compressed a little bit too much. I think the far cheek needs to bulge out more. Are you talking about this one? Yeah. Yeah, it probably does. Yeah, like this part right here is too high. This comes down some. Yeah. I'll get there in a second. I want to get these points correct. Like I can do that, but this kind of comes up. Let's really work on this. Okay, I might have brought that up too high. I need to go back to the basics with this. Let's take that off. All right, that comes up here, then it kind of arches. This keeps on reading as correct. I guess it's a subtlety. Here's what I'll do. I'm just gonna leave it like that. I think I wasn't being as subtle as I needed to be. And then there's this little point there. Now, I need to adjust this side. Oops. All right, so we have this point, which kind of comes up. And then talking about making this soft, I'm going to make this very soft here. Very soft. Erase this. All right. And then from here, if this is here, if this is here, then this comes. Still, I'm reading it's here. If y'all notice me, like, I'm going slowly here because she does have an angular face, but it is more subtle than my face was. My face was, so, you know, there were more points to measure off of, it seems. And so, again, don't worry about drawing really fast, okay? You don't want to have to draw fast. Just take your time and learn about the proportions. Just take it slow. All right. Take it very slow. Maybe just, okay, so how wide is this? It's kind of about here. It comes in just a little bit, and then this part. It's like when I squint down. Still getting that, okay. And constantly go back and check your points. Like just now, I went from here to here, and then I shot up to the top to make sure this distance was correct, and it's still very much in the ballpark. Okay. Look at this shape. This part kind of comes up just somewhere around here. Okay, and now this is here. Let's clean this up. All right. Let's work on that cheek for Queldar. There we go. So we've kept it very light for a reason, right? So that we can do this, we can just go back over it. Now, I'm still going to be thinking about this. We have this part right here, and then this cheek that kind of pops out just ever so lightly. Out. And let's see, we have, if this point's here, and this is where the cheek's going to be here. Coming up, and I'm going to keep it very soft but precise. We cut it. This is very subtle. You'll have to redraw this a couple times, probably. I remember just redrawing areas like that 5, 6, 7 times, which is why, again, you have to learn to control your the pressure that you put on the pencil so it doesn't scar the paper. So it's very sharp, but let's go precise with it. And this part kind of pops out just a little bit. I raised this up just a little, this part, so I'm going to bring that up. Now, this is the subtlety we're talking about. The reason why I brought that up was because this distance was too long. There we go. Something like that. You have this part which pops up ever so lightly. One, and then kind of cuts there, maybe. Okay, so I did it light. Areas like this where they start building up a lot because it's an intersecting line, a common mistake people make is that they think, okay, to redraw this I need to go darker so I can see it since there's already pencil there. Don't do that. Draw it in lightly, just only thinking about being precise and not scarring the paper. And then take your eraser and cut into the paper with the eraser to get the shape that you just drew. That's what I would do with this. All right, and you can just touch it to get the gesture, the impression, the shape, what have you. All right, and guys, we are still in a position here where we will correct proportions. Right, we're still in this. We're still here where we can still correct proportions, and this is very important to keep in mind. I'm essentially adding a little line of pencil in. I'm touching the previous line of pencil, and then I'm just taking. I'm shaving a slight line off. That's how I'm shaping it because it's very subtle at this stage. Oh, I just slipped. It's okay, it didn't really do anything. Okay. Now, here's the thing. That is so subtle. See how long it took me to do that? Now, what if I need to move? What if I need to move it? right? That's why it's not important. It's good to get an impression of that, but don't spend all day trying to get it. Because if I have to move it, how much time did I just waste? Do you see? So that's the reason why oftentimes with these subtle areas, I don't put them in really correct at first, because it's not important. I'm looking more at angles, the big shapes, everything else that needs to solidify, and then I'll go in and get the basics, all right? And so we got the basics, but I'm not gonna spend all day trying to get it in shade, because what forms that subtlety of the cheek is not just the line, but it's the fading back. The impression that you're getting is that it's fading back and it's soft. And that's done with value. We haven't started shading yet because I'm still correcting the proportions. You see the progression? Now this is important too in your painting. Think in painting how much longer it takes to detail things, right? And for example, in the painting that I'm doing right now in still life, if I started painting this pattern cloth, but I don't have the larger shape in, then I'm out of luck when I really want it to be accurate, right? So you learn things in pencil that teach you in paint. All right, so squinting down, it's very soft. It kind of comes up at such an angle. I'm looking at this, but I'm also looking at this, and then I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at all these shapes. In my mind, I'm trying to come up with new and creative combinations of shapes, different ways of combining shapes to form other shapes, right? And if you can do that, it's also training your mind to see large shapes. And what does that do? When you have to see the large shapes, what does that do? It means you can't see all this detail and all this crap. And isn't that one of the traps that all of us fall into at first? We start detailing, we want it to make it look like it, and we detail everything at first, and it's hard to simplify. It's very hard. So if you have trouble with this, don't feel bad. It's totally normal. And that's why I spend so much time lecturing about how you need to keep things simple. Because if it was something where it automatically happened, where all of us could just so easily block in and see the big shape, then I wouldn't have to be saying it all the time. It's totally normal. It's totally normal to mess up, right? See, this angle goes, actually that's even wrong. I have it going like that. It should be going a little bit more. So I'm being picky here, but I'm just also showing you how I think. All right, so this angle should be going, and it's important. You might be thinking, well, what's the difference? Well, there's a huge difference. Comes up that way, just a little bit. All right, and then this angle is coming not straight up and down. This top angle is kind of coming up just a little bit, like that. It's going like something like that, and it's a small angle, right? And then we have this top part. It does cut off, but I'm just gonna put one piece through there and then another one right through there. This piece actually might come out a little bit more, but I'm gonna leave it there for now. See, you can essentially, to our eyes, form a circle by doing straight lines. It's kind of crazy. It's hard to simplify. So true. This is very true, Laura. This is very true. Which, by the way, I like how you started your drawing. That portrait. I was like, ooh, she's blocking it in. Which is good. And my thing is, like I said, you block it in and don't just be like, okay, it's blocked in, time to detail, yay! Don't do that. Block it in and then leave it there. Leave it there and work on it for, if you're a beginner, if you're just starting, And when I say beginner, I mean beginner at this type of stuff, not just I've been drawing, right? But if you're first starting this type of work, and even for myself, this is a great challenge. It benefits me. Leave it there for 2 or 3 hours. If you can do it another full 2-3 hour session again, leave it there. I would encourage leaving it at a very basic blocking stage where you're not detailing it, where you're just disciplining yourself to work with straight lines, and you're training your eye to see angles and distances and constantly critique and correct and figure out what's wrong with your drawing in the very beginning. Like, leave it at that stage. You know, challenge yourself to work on it for 6 hours without scarring the paper. You do that, if you did that exercise, I mean, you would get like good in no time. You really would. It's hard to simplify such a, you know, my problem, I was looking at it on the side the whole time without stepping back. Yep, exactly. I know what you mean. But that's why it's good to stand and look back. Like, you see me leaning back, but when I'm working, I'm standing. It's more fun to sit, though, I have to say. It's very comfortable to sit. It's very comfortable, but, you know, whatever. This might come over some. I kind of had this piece here. It comes down. That was horribly drawn. So the camera was head on, and I took it accurate. Then when I looked at it from the front, right. And Laura, you know, I was talking to you about the Sigma lens. I think I got the 55 actually. It's the 55. It's the one from the. And so the Sigma lens is for the. Wait, what camera do you have? Because I have the camera the Sony M50. You might not have the Sony M50 or a Sony, but mine's a good low light lens. So for my studio, I don't need a shine light on it, but it's also a 55 millimeter where you can set it back and it zooms in on the painting. And what that does, it makes it so there's no geometric perspective warp. There's none of that. It's not up close where it like warps the painting or makes it at a weird angle. I mean, there's some because it's slightly off to the side, but like my camera right here, this is it. It's back far enough. I know there's like a little bit of a side view for you guys, but the further you put it back, and I have it shooting in 4K and it zooms in a little bit for that. So it's zoomed in much more when I'm shooting. And it takes that perspective out so I can still almost stand in front of it and it still doesn't get me. So it's kind of a good camera. Like that was, see, if like a lot of people who make videos or if they stream or if they vlog, they don't need, I mean, lighting's still important, but it's not as important as when you're doing the visual arts, right? How am I gonna make it so that the camera looks good on the painting, how the painting looks good on real life? Like what camera do I use? Like what lighting? How do I stop it from, you know, the perspective warp and all this? There's a lot to keep in mind. I'm not complaining, I'm just saying that that is essentially, did I just mess this up? I kind of feel like the ear is wrong. I feel like the ear drops. I think the ear does drop a little bit. I'm going to drop the ear just a little. It's just, let me see. I think it goes across there. Yep. See, and this is why we keep it simple. The ear drops. This drops, okay. So I kind of had it, but I wasn't like precise with my points. You can tell, and that this does make a difference, guys. And this is okay. It's good. It gives me more practice in blocking in, okay? Okay? There we go. It's down, and then we just erase what we had before. And this is, and don't beat yourself up when this stuff happens. Pat yourself on the back if you found it. Correct it. There we go. So when drawing lines, here's a little line tip. This is so important. When we start drawing lines, oftentimes, I think I've told you all, we oftentimes do this. Okay? Start doing this. Right? Get in the practice of doing smooth lines, not scratchy lines like that. Okay? Like a lot of people, they draw that they do this. They it's like they're coloring in a coloring book. Don't do that because you're going to lose the quality of line. If you do it the way that I showed you, you're going to get fluidity of hand, and it's going to be quicker and easier to block in something that's moving because your lines will be faster and more precise. And if the line is more precise on the paper, it will be easier to correct because you can see it. Now, what's easier to correct? Look, if I have, for example, this area right here. Okay, say this right here is part of a painting, okay? It's a shape. This is a very important lesson, guys. Very important lesson. Say we have a shape there. All right? And then we have, that's one way we can draw it. But say then another person drew it like this. Right? Now, which one's easier to correct? In this one, like for example, here, this is the gesturally, right? Like this is thick, like where is the line? Is it out here? Is it in here? Is it the white? What is it, right? Like there's a lot you can do with this. There's no definite point to measure off of here. The line quality is not good. This line quality is pretty good here, but let's kind of do something like that, okay? But this is nice and clear and concise, and this is easy to erase. I can erase this much easier. This one I would have to clean up more, right? There's a lot that I would have to do. I'd have to work the line with eraser here, and we could form straight lines, but my point is that when you learn to draw these smooth lines, okay, it forces you to go in a general direction. When you have to draw a fluid line, it forces you to go in a direction, right? Doing this, you could change your course like at whatever point, right? You can change your point. Like, oh, I think it curves like this, right? But these lines, if you want to curve something and it kind of, if you want to curve something, say, okay, it's going in this direction, it stops here, but it curves here, and it kind of cuts off here. And so that's how you make your curves, right? This is how it curves. Now getting back to this, the reason why this is easier is because you have a definite angle going in a definite direction, starting at a certain point, stopping at a certain point, meeting this point here, and this line is going at a specific angle, and it's meeting this point and meeting this line at a specific point. You see? So you have these points here that are very clear, these lines that are very clear, so you can judge width, the length, you can judge the shape better. Your mind does not have to work as hard to judge shape when you draw simply like this. That's why you use that. And you might not notice it, but if you draw like with 5,000 different lines and then you try to look at the proportions, your mind is working overtime to make sense of it. Don't do that to your brain. Drawing's hard enough. Draw simple lines and give your brain a rest, and you'll be surprised at how easily you'll be able to pick out proportions if you clean your technique up. All right. So that is all I have to say about that one. Good tip, Lewis. Damn right it is, Laura. Thank you. Being that I created drawing, I came up with it myself. All right, why don't we do this? I'm going to put a little bit, let's put the pit of the neck in here, which I probably should have done before. So it's kind of there because her shoulders are kind of facing us. Just like facing us here. Shoulders there, okay. Now, so the next thing I think, cleaning up your technique. Right, clean up your technique. It's almost like he knows what he's doing. Yeah. Let's do this. Shadow shapes. When we shadow, we'll lose a little bit of the drawing. And at this stage, I will continue to fix the proportions. So we're going very slow with this, but that's okay. That's what we want to do. And, all right, so pop quiz, Queldar. Pop quiz. I'll put this piece in. But why am I not going to detail and work a lot on this little eyelid piece? Huh? That's for you, Queldar. Why? Based off of everything I said, why should I not detail this eyelid piece yet? Granted, some painters might do that, and that's totally fine, especially if you've been trained, you know what you're doing. Because it's too subtle. You know, you can still get subtlety. Like there's subtle angles and such you can still get, right? But what you're saying is, like specify for me. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but if you're asked questions sometimes, and I'll try to be specific. I know there are vague questions you can ask. It makes you look good because you asked a vague question. The person doesn't know. You're like, well, because. That stuff pisses me off. Why at this stage would I not put that in? It's simple. And again, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but if you, this really helps people to think when asked questions, right? A master student moment. Laura, you can chip in too. Because I want y'all to understand this. And partially you're right, it is subtle. It would take time to put that in. But I have to be certain about that shadow shape, where it is. And I can still put it in, but as you can tell, I just darkened it and I just went over it and you can barely tell. Well, you said you work on the subtle stuff after you finish the more obvious parts. Exactly. I'm not sure that this shadow shape right here, I think it's correct, but if something needs to move, if it needs to shift up or down, then that little subtle piece that if I spend all the time in the world working on that piece and then I have to shift it down, I've wasted the time. I want to put that in at the very end. And with something like this where it is very dark, I can actually draw this in and then sculpt it with the light piece, right? This part right here, when you squint down, is insignificant. But it's okay to put it in for anatomical understanding of the piece, right? It'll help you get the overall proportions, but only if it helps get the overall proportions, right? Only if it helps. But that's why we don't want to waste our time when we might have to move it, simply put. Simply put. Should the hair come down farther on the far side? This one right here, Oh, this down here? Yeah, probably. It might. Let's see if this is here. This will drop down. Yeah, this like comes down. Definitely. I think you're probably right. Let me check that. If this is here, this is here. Yeah, it comes down to about. Let's see if this is here. Yeah, it's like somewhere around here. This actually might need to drop some. This might need to drop. See, and that's the beauty. Like you can still like make changes at it at this stage, which is kind of cool. See? Maybe I think it still drops even more next to the far eye. Oh wait, next to the far eye, that one. Oh yeah, this hair. I kind of incorporated it. It kind of goes in. Look, that hair. If you're really opening your eyes, it goes to about this part of the nose, okay? And then it comes up, like it comes out a little bit, but I'm not so worried about this right now, honestly, but if you want to, it goes like something like this. And then this cut, that kind of cuts. But and this, you want to take your time shading this part. Just so it's like specific. And then let's get this part. And I need to sharpen my pencil because this thing's wearing out pretty easily. It's okay, it's not bothering me too much right now. It fades a little bit, doesn't it? And this part, it's a little sharper, but not so much. Just a little bit more prominent, maybe. It kind of comes in. Did I make it too far? Or too prominent? Okay. It's soft, so I kind of faded just a little bit. It's hard to tell. Well, I think you did an amazing job on my Frida self-portrait, Eddie, and you're so fast. That's right. He did a Frida portrait. I like that, Eddie, that you do that stuff. Quildar. So you merge shadow shapes. So, yeah. Like, yeah, I do merge them. Definitely. Because when you squint down, look, when you squint down, Quildar, it's like that video that amazing guy sent, and it was so well done. He had, you know, a cylinder. He had the all sorts of objects together. You squint down, and you just form one big object. You lose the information, you lose it, right? You lose it. So you work with large shapes. Like I did that here. I do that with the eye sockets. I make them look like, you know, Tom Cruise sunglasses or something. I don't know. Just make them look, you block them in. Yeah, I see all this stuff in here, but we can hatch that out with eraser because we're being smart and we're using solid technique where it will erase. It will erase. If I were to squint down and like etch that in and be like, I want it to be real and to make it pop, and then try to erase it, then I'd be screwed because I scarred the paper, I destroyed it. Use the digital tray. I would love to try digital, but I want like one of those amazing tablets you can actually draw on. If there's some way to do it, I have an iPad Air, but if you can do it on that. I have one of those pens, but it's on a tablet that you hook up to a computer, and so like when I do it, it's like I'm looking at a tablet, but it's not, it doesn't have a screen. But it's like if I were to get something like that, I'd have to use it because they cost like thousands of dollars, I think. And I want to get one. Oh, because they're so cool. All my friends are doing it. All my friends are doing it. All right, so at this stage, do we detail? No. We never detail. Now, what do we have to work with? We have light shapes. And let's clean the drawing up because normally we lose the drawing a little bit when we fill these shapes in. You can work with the tablet you have, Lewis. I know I can, but I don't, it's not, I want a good tablet. I want one all my friends have that's really cool and fun to work on. I gave a shot at digital art last year. It was kind of fun. Yes, you need a bigger screen than a cell phone. You were doing it off a cell phone? Laura. Laura. How? How, woman? All right, see how this is right there? Like, let's clean it up. I guarantee you it will be easier to see and judge the proportions when we do. Be picky with your lines. You gotta be picky with them. It will help sharpen your eye as well. All right, see? Now you have two lines going at two separate angles, meeting at a specific point. This is easier to judge off of. It also requires more energy of mind to observe that on a curving surface. So it gives you practice when you're able to come out with lines like this on something that's curved. That's why it's so important. So we're doing this drawing not just to make it look cool, but we're doing it to practice our brains, right? We're trying to train our minds to see these shapes. That's all painting and sculpture is looking and recording shapes. Sculpture in the three-dimensional, painting, understanding it in three-dimensional, but putting it two-dimensional. Let's go in and start putting a little bit more subtlety while correcting the larger shape with this. There's a little gesture, a little, tiny little peaceful gesture up at the top. Damn it. Here we go. There we are. No need to get pissed off. So I'm not trying to make the lines look pretty yet. I'm just trying to see this light shape. I'm drawing the light shape, and I'm also thinking about the shadow shape as I'm drawing at the same time. So both. You got to think of both. The big screen tablets are super expensive. Yeah, they are, man. Okay, I use an 11-inch iPad Pro. I'm doing the thing from China where I go from bottom to top for some reason. I don't know why. I use an 11-inch iPad Pro, but there's people who just use the tablet like Lewis described. Yep. I mean, it's fun, but it would be awesome if I had like a big one one day. All right, so here's another thing. We got to make sure that this brow doesn't look like Frankenstein, right? We need to make sure that this line is in sync with this line right here. I'm going to lower the shadow shape just a little bit. The nose, just a little bit. Okay, I think I kind of might know what's happening here. This might need to come up. The gesture kind of comes up just a little here. This part is not drawn correctly. 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 I feel like this is too short. Let's look at this as a whole. Here, up to here. Okay. It's very subtle. Just work very, very, very light with this so you don't scar it. No, that's wrong. This part still needs to come down. Just a little bit, I think. So when you put shadow shapes in, you'll see things differently. The big swing colors are expensive. So you drop in tone to better estimate the proportions exactly. And this is typical in classical drawing. Yes, it is. Just curious because I've seen people draw the features with no tone. And that's fine. Here's the thing. It's very beneficial it's very beneficial to wait too, and not just like I drew a blanket shadow shape in, right? If I want to mess with those values, bring them light, dark, I can do that later. But I just blanket one value in. That will help me to see light shapes, right? The light values. That's what we're looking for right now. Okay? And so the idea is whatever stage you're at, get the proportions as accurate as you can see in that stage. And when you first start, when you're in the beginning, when you're a newbie at this, and this goes for even people who are professional, I always recommend staying in that stage for a while. When you're a newbie, stay in it for like I said, 3 to 6 hours if you can. It's hard to do, but it's a great exercise. And force yourself to see the proportions even when you can't. I promise you, you're getting exercise. It will be very beneficial to your work. Very freaking beneficial. Now, if I'm looking at this piece right here, see, I brought the nose up. And then this piece here. The forehead to me looks like it might need to go out that way, just a little bit, okay? Just a little bit. But I want to make sure. I brought this up because I think this came up just a little bit. I brought this up, which is fine. It's okay to do that. Because this was too short. So I move this up. If this part comes up here, then this is here. But this needs to push out some. And from this point here, so close. I think it goes out. I'm going to try moving the forehead out a hair width that way. And guys, this is portraiture. It's very subtle oftentimes. It's oftentimes very subtle, and you just bear with it, but you're getting better. You're honing your level of accuracy, if you will. I remember, like, when I first started training, I was very amazed at how, like, on a drawing, the teacher would be like, okay, everything looks okay. Well, they never said it, everything looks okay, but they're like, okay, shake the leg. Like out of a figure drawing this big, they're like, okay, I think the leg is that much too long. I'm like, how can you tell? Like the leg is this long. Like to be able to tell it's that much too, because their eyes were trained. It was very sensitive. But this is how you do it. All right, this is how it's done. Stuff like this. So stick with it. Stick with it and challenge yourself. It's a different way of looking at things, right? It's not. Like I said, it's not trying to make it look like it. It's learning the basics and practicing those basics, right? It's a very scientific method of drawing. And once you have an understanding of what that looks like, then you can build upon it, right? You can build upon it. So I just brought the forehead out, maybe just a little bit. Brow line, and this, I know I've lost the drawing around this area right here. I will clean that up. Okay. So I'm trying to get this piece here to make that fit in with everything else, but I might just to be a gestural part of it. This part comes kind of up like that. Okay, I still think maybe it comes out just a little. I don't want to push it out too far though. That's the thing. I got to be careful with this. So we're just moving shapes now out. All right, so it's getting a little bit. It's about time to. It's been 2-hour mark. I think I don't want y'all to die of. I want to make a Roman goddess version of this. Oh, you should. She'd be very good. She also reminds me of the 1920s. With her hairstyle and such. But I'll do the correct drawing for it first. Good, excellent. Oh, how'd y'all like the thumbnail, by the way, for this? All right, answer that question, but this is it. I think I'm gonna call it for today on this. We'll pick this up next time. Time is up for me, guys. I wish y'all all a great evening and day. Carmine, grazie. Thank you very much, man. Have a very nice day. Thanks, buddy. We'll see ya. Guys, I'm gonna wrap it up too. But thank you so much for being here and keeping me company. And I'll be back on 11:30 a.m. Eastern time on Thursday. All right? So you guys be good. And if you do any drawings, like use the drawings. I have the reference photos. Y'all are welcome to use them and send me your drawings on Instagram. I'm glad, man. Thanks, Queldar. Appreciate that, buddy. Excellent, Lisa. Good to hear. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. All right. I'll see you all on Thursday.